Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. As always, I'm looking forward to spending some lovely time with you. How are you feeling? I hope you're feeling okay and that your new week has started well. Always good to be full of positivity on a Monday, isn't it? Now, today I've come in to try and answer a couple of your questions. And some of our new friends and followers, A, have asked me what smooshing is, but B, a lot of you have been saying that we're always saying, clean your ink up, create a smooshed background, use it later, but then we don't show you what to do. So that's what I thought I'd do, if that's okay today, is show you what to do with a smooshed background. And this is the sort of thing I'm going to create. So first of all, I'll talk about smooshing. So smooshing, this is a smooshed background that I made at a recent workshop that I did. And I've kept it, and that's what I'm going to use today. I did make the background, it was a 7x7 piece of card that I was using, and I have cut it down. This is a 5.5x5 because that's ready to go on a 6x6 card, just because that's what I use. Often you can smoosh large pieces of card and then cut them down, or I've got to be honest, I tend to use offcuts. So all it is here, and this is one that is an ongoing piece. So I keep quite a few of my offcuts like this. This can be done in a journal. And what it is when I've been inking up, now you can just put ink on your mat, but I tend to do it when I've done a project and I've got some ink on my mat already. And all you do is take your bottle, give it a spritz, and then literally smoosh your card. You can drag it, you can dab it, you can pick it up with your brush and flick it. You can also, if often what I do, so I'm going to clean this up, this little bit that's left. And I tend to let mine dry naturally. You can speed this up with your heat tool, but for me, I like to just leave that. I will let it dry, and then next time I'm using some ink, I'll add another colour. If I want specific ink, say I get to a piece like this and I think, oh, I want a little bit of green, but here and here, I would then get a piece of acetate, put my ink on the acetate, lift it up and actually dab it where I want it. It's still smooshing, but it's actually putting it exactly where you want it. So in a nutshell, I always have quite a few of these, tidy them up as I'm going in my craft room, and then when it comes to a day when I'm not sure what I'm doing or if I need a quick design, this is where it comes in. So that one's going to go over on my drying. They're quite good if you get one of those little peg, little peg hangers for little bits or underwear. You can have one of those in your craft room and just hang them up. I love that. So back to this. When it dries naturally, it sometimes has a bit of it won't be quite flat. So I just take my hand, go all the way around, and for me that just helps flatten it off. Now, as you can see in my finished piece, I'm going to use this lovely fairy called Harietta, and I haven't used her for ages. So it's lovely to get out. I shouldn't call them old fairies, and I don't know why it makes me laugh, so I'm really sorry. But older stamps, and it's lovely to have a play. My top tip with her is I always just make sure where I stamp, as you can see, her face, because we're going to colour this in, and you can colour over the top, but I always think skin can be a difficult thing to colour in. So my suggestion will be take your, and yes, those of you who've noticed I did write her name on the wrong side. Anyway, take her, your acetate, and what I'm going to think is if I stamp here, if I look for an area, I've got a whiter area there, and I'm thinking, can you see, if I choose an area where it's lighter, it will be easier for me to add the colour over the top. So I'm thinking that way round, as opposed to, see that, I think she's a bit low, so I'm definitely going to, so it's something to think of just before you start, just a little tip. So mine's nice and dry, and I'm going to come in with my black, my Versafine Clair, the Nocturne. So permanent ink. These are all dye-based inks. And if you're doing a project with your elements, you can use elements. But then if you're doing a project with, say, a distress oxide, smoosh your oxide on top, it's fine, not a problem. The main thing is do let each layer dry. And as I say, I just put mine to one side, and I have them in various. Some have got one colour on, some have got a couple. I've got some journal pages waiting just to be stamped on. So again, when I stamp this, I'm just going to be mindful of that lighter area to sort of get her face there. And she's so beautiful. Now there's a lot of detail in her, so I'm just going to, and I've got a lot of ink on there. So I'm just going to, you can use your sprays as well. You can smoosh if you've got spray on your mat. If you sprayed your inks, you can smoosh that on card. Maybe mix some of that on top of some elements. There we go. Look at that, the detail is just amazing. So because she's carrying this lovely fairy lantern, we do actually have this in a mini. Now, I've not used this today, but I wanted to just point it out to you. If you've only got this one stamp and you want to create some foliage around, it might be worth looking for the mini stamp, because you could stamp a foliage stamp and just add some more hanging lanterns. And often that's where your foliage stamps, these minis, really help, especially if you're one of our new starters. So I'm going to stamp. We've got a lovely set of fairy lanterns, and this is a set with the two. So I'm going to team these up. And again, have a look through your stamps. Have you got these? Haven't used mine for a while, so they're glad that they've come out to have a play. And I just want these at different heights, so I'll put one there. Want it to look as natural as possible. So I'm just going to pop another one there, just at a different angle. And I love the way these are facing different sides. So we'll bring this one in. And we'll pop this one just a bit higher. And I can see, look, those of you who spotted, I've missed inking a little bit of that stem. So I'm going to leave it, because I'm not going to edit that bit out, because it can happen to any of us. So look, missed a little bit there. Not a problem. Black fine liner pen. And I'm just going to pop that in there. There we go. Nobody will ever know. Best friend that. I have a black and a brown, because you know what? These things happen. Right, give that a blot. Versafine Clair. Remember, it's a slower drying ink, so always good to blot it. Now, for those of you, if you've got strong colour here, just bear in mind, you can decoupage any of these. I'm going to add colour, but just to show you, I've stamped her again, and I've actually cut out, I've coloured and cut out. So I could, if I wanted, decoupage, and look, any part of our beautiful fairy, you could decoupage just the dress, the wings. So again, if you're using a dark colour, remember, you can do your decoupage, and if you like your fussy cutting, I love cutting out, so if you're not keen, give that a miss. Right, we're going to ground her. So let's go for our mini hill masks, and we're going to come in now. The original colours on the background, I think I forgot to tell you, it's Mermaid and Violet Chalk. You know what I'm like, I get a bit excitable, a bit like a little puppy, and I get carried away. I'm coming in now with dark denim, just so it will show up, and a small. I want more control, so I'm coming in for the number 3 brush. And we'll just see if I can catch those there. I'm just going to give her a little bit under her feet. And again, just build it up. And then I'm going to come in. We'll just catch that one. So that shape there. Yeah, and then this one. So you don't have to go right along, look. You can just, I can just make that shape, just inch it up there. And I always start with the ink under the object because it will just naturally give me a darker colour and then take it lighter as I go along. And it just gives instant shadow. And there we go, look. So that's instantly give us some lovely grounding and just starts to build up. I could add a hill if I wanted, but I like this in the background, so I'm going to leave that. Give this a wipe. Let's keep in good habits. Just a damp cloth and then your dry cloth, your inky binky, and pop that away back in its little plastic. And that way, you keep tidier and you've less chance of losing things. Acetate circle mask. Now again, we could add the moon over here, but I think that's quite disjointed. But I'm thinking let's use it as a spotlight. But I'm still going to turn my work round and we'll spotlight our beautiful lantern here. So again, starting at the bottom, just gently, gently blending on that lid, just getting that good habit. A lot of it is just about good practices and you'll get such better results. And you know what, you'll be able to do it in your sleep. You'll be like, Jo, you make it look so easy. Oh, actually it is. Yeah, seriously, it is. Now, when I've got less ink on my brush, look, I'm just going to come out a little bit because I almost don't want a definite circle. I want this edge to fuzz it into that background. And can you see, although you've got a definite circle here, the ink fuzzes into, and you can still see the beautiful colours in these shapes. And look, you've got a lighter bit there. And I love that because we're not losing that lovely smooshed background. We're enhancing it. Again, give that a good wipe and a dry. Pop that away. And then I want to bring in, before I start colouring, I want to bring in just some little bits of flowery bits here, just to have a little bit more detail. And I've got a couple of stamps here from our foliage set. So if you look on the foliage set again, it's a lovely set, look. And I'm going to use these two. We use the hanging ones quite a lot, don't we? So I'm going to come in. Again, keep everything tidy. And with this one, I've gone for the Versafine Clair, the Lilac Bloom. But if I stamp it, it's going to take it too high. I don't necessarily want it very high. So I'm going to get a piece of copier paper and just tear a piece off like this, look. And then I can see this one, I think I will have that full height. But then I'm going to come in. And yes, the reason I went for a piece lower down is some of the pieces under here have got stamping on. I must start throwing the pieces out. I am terrible, you know. Why do I keep every piece even when it's got lots of stamping on? Please tell me it's not just me. Are you bad at throwing things out? You know, I keep thinking I'm going to tidy my craft room and then I think, but am I just going to move things from A to B? Will I actually throw anything away? So we've got that lovely shape there and I love, it might actually just bring a little bit further down there. Yeah, happy with that. But the black here is quite stark. I love the colour, but I'm just going to bring in with this more of a sort of a sticky one. It hasn't got flowers on. I'm just going to bring in a little bit of stamping in black, just so it looks a cohesive design. And you'll see the difference. So if I just go to this part here, if you watch that. So just photograph that in your mind's eye. But then have a look. If I just start, and it's so twiggy, this, it's lovely to add a bit of depth, but it won't almost take over, won't obliterate. So can you see we've got the black twiggy bits, still see the florals, but now it's a lovely cohesive design. And just bringing that little bit of black stamping over the top blends it together really well. And the same here. See, that looks quite stark there. But this one we're just going to add one, and if we put it, it'll look like it's coming out either side. Can you see there? Looks like they're just growing out. And it gives that depth and perspective. Fabulous little set, that. Very, very useful. I'm sure you've got it already. Right, let's add some colour. Now again, you know, with this, what you could do is stamp a few of these, make yourself a brew and just sit and spend some beautiful time colouring in. Obviously, I'm just going to speedily add some colour. And I'm going to start with her skin. And like I say, because I've stamped it on the light bits, especially her face, I mean, I know she's a fairy, so we can, you know, you've got a bit of magic in there. I will list all the colours, but just to let you know, in the Mondeluz Aquarelle pencils, I'm using number 9, number 3, 179, 170, 15, 132 and 5. So if we come into our lovely lanterns, and again I'm just going to use the red at the top and at the base. And again, you probably have your own system of how to colour. We're all different. I tend to start with my darker colour, and if my head comes in shot, I apologise. And then I come in with my orange, and then lastly I'll come in with my yellow, and I tend to go over the top of the colour I've done before just to blend it in. And I feel if I do that, it just helps give me some shape. So I'll speedily, and this one I'm doing more red at the back. This one I'll do more red at the base. So we come in with the orange. And again, if you've got your own system, you carry on with your own system. Mine's just a bit of a cheat, a bit of a quick. The best thing is if you've got time, as I say, and you can make yourself a nice brew, just sit. Or if you've got a friend that crafts, you know, you could both just sit together, spend the afternoon chatting. Because I always think colouring's one of those things you can do while you're chatting. So you could sit together, maybe have a little group of you around, 2 or 3 friends, get that coffee machine on, one of you bring some lovely cakes or biscuits, and just have a lovely afternoon, catching up, colouring in. Oh, how lovely. I love doing colouring in at workshops. Although I always say I get the crafters colouring in, especially after lunch, so I can sit and have a little nana nap. I don't, obviously. So now to her beautiful skirts. And again, these are pens are fabulous, these pencils. They go right over the ink. Stay nice and vibrant, nice and bright. So we've got some red there. We'll add some lovely orange here. And the detail, as I say, is just amazing. Now with that orange, I'm just going to come in under there and add a little bit of red. It'll just add a bit more depth. So I'm going to go now with my purple and blue. Just to bring in, because we used purple and blue in the background. See, I'm not going to introduce too many colours, but just tie it all together. You know, I love that word, cohesive design. And then this layer here, I'm going to do purple at the base, look, where we'd have shade. Purple at the top, because we've got a bit of shade from that layer. And then what I'll do is bring in blue, to bring in that blue from the background. And then we'll alternate here. This one blue, this one blue, her top blue, and the little bit on her arms. So purple, purple, and then on her hat, at the base here, where we'd have shade, and just on there we'll add the blue, and then the purple, and then coming in with the blue. And there we go. And then, you know me, I'm going to come in and add some lovely clear Wink of Stella. So you can use your water brush, but I'm just going to use my clear Wink of Stella because what it will do, it will give me some sparkle as well. And I'm starting with the yellow and going into the red. And as you see, I get a little bit of red because it will blend the colours. And I just clean that on my kitchen roll here. So we'll do her wings. And while I'm been using the yellow and the orange, I'll come into the orange on her skirt look, and then into the red, because I'm quite happy if I've got orange on my brush to go into the red, but then give it a clean. And then light blue into the dark. Light blue, I'll colour each of the light blue ones. And then this one, light blue and into the purple. And then that way, I'll have a little bit of purple on my brush, so I can go into the purple and a lovely petticoat here. But importantly, when I finish, just clean that purple onto there, and that's lovely and clear look, ready to start again. And if I lift that up, now the Wink of Stella does get more shiny as it dries, but as you know what it's like, it's really hard to capture, but honestly, there is sparkle there. Just for a little bit more sparkle, and sticking with the Wink of Stella, I'm going to come in with the, and look, I didn't put my lid back on properly, did I? With my gold, and I'm just going to add around each of these lanterns a beautiful sort of gold halo. Now, I've got to be honest, this is useful if your colouring's gone outside the lines. Not that that's why I did it, honestly. But it just adds a lovely bit of sparkle. Just a bit of extra. Again, keep your hands, there we go. Oh, that lid doesn't want to stay on, does it? Couple of little finishing tricks. Pastel pencils. You know I love these. If your highlight here, you want to add a bit of extra white look, bring in your pastel pencil. So again, depending what colours you've actually used, and then give it a smudge. But look at that, it really gives that sort of ethereal. So that's your white. And then with the black, we're going to add some extra shade. Again, this one here, it'll be straight. Our lovely fairy feet, it'll come slightly this way. And then we'll have a bit of shade look under a dress. And again, that's going to come this way. And this one here will be that way. Again, just because the light source is. And again, give them a bit of a smudge. Smudging, I think makes them look better, but again, it just fixes it. It's pastel. We don't need a spray fixative because we're not using very much. Let's make that a bit longer. You can use your finger, but if I get too much black on it now, I'll get it all over my work. I know what I'm like. Couple of little white highlights. Your Wink of Stella, when it's dry, you can come back in with your pen look and just add a couple of white. Maybe we'll just catch a little bit on her dress, maybe her wings, a little bit on her hat, maybe just a little couple down the front. Just on this one here again. I don't want to overcook it. Maybe just catch a little bit on her foot there. And then last little thing, now you can add some Stickles glitter glue. I'm just going to come in with my yellow sparkly Posca and just add some little dots around these flowers, just for a little bit of magic. Little bit of extra magic. You can add a couple of little dots on here as well if you want. And I'm leaving this one without a sentiment, but I do think this would make a lovely emergency card, and you've got room here for either stamping a sentiment or one of our sticker sentiments. So here's the original, and there's the one we've created today. So I'm hoping that really helps. And look, my background, while we've been talking, has dried beautifully. So I'm looking at that and thinking what else I can stamp on there. And, you know, these smaller pieces, you can make some beautiful artwork and then matte and layer it, sentiment on a 6x6 or an A6 card. So save all those and let's get using them. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope it's helped answering those questions. So thank you for asking them, and I will include the ideas if and when I can. So you take care, have a lovely evening, and I will see you again tomorrow. Love and hugs from me. Have fun. Bye for now.